Thank you very much, Dr. I now invite the team from Booking Institute, Dr. Anjali Radkar and my friend Prashant Banswade to make their presentation. Before that, I would
basically, as I understood that I will be talking on the tribal health, so I worked a little bit on the tribal health, and then it might take us to, how the allocation for the tribals, if you can. As the earlier speakers like Dr. Manisha and Dr. Shukla talked about the diversity, the Maharashtra is totally different. We are highly urbanized, 45% urban, and we have 10% tribal population. So we are actually balancing in these two ends basically. And when we are talking about the health, also the issues are totally different in the tribal areas, and the issues of the urban health they are totally different. So we are fighting with the communicable diseases at one end and the non-communicable diseases at the other end, and that is where the whole health issues really revolve around. But when we are talking about the budget and when we are talking about the public health, it is still more about the communicable diseases, maternal and child health, and things like that. So basically, as we all know, that is the tribal population is 10.5 million now in Maharashtra, and comes to 9.35% of the total population, and it is nationally, if you look at it, the second highest tribal population after Madhya Pradesh. So, and the growth rate of the tribal population is also quite high compared to the state growth. The state growth is 16%, vis-a-vis tribal growth is 22.5%. Sorry for the typo. Then it is 22.5%. And there are states, there are districts like we all know, that is Dhule, Jalgaon, Pune, Nandurbar, Nashik. They have the dedicated growth is much faster. Nandurbar is about 69-70% population is the tribal population, and Gadchiroli is 37%. And so huge populations. There are the districts. We have say 9 districts, I think, with the tribal population, the high concentration of tribal population. So. For that, government is doing something. I won't go into all that, and I'll directly go to how the tribal figures differ. I have used one source, National Family Health Survey, so that there will be the uniformity. If I use the different sources, the figures really won't be comparable. So in that sense, actually, the fertility, basically it all revolves around the fertility. When the fertility has gone down, over the period, NFHS has been conducted in 1992-93, NFHS 2 in 98-99, and NFHS 3 in 2005-2006. Actually, NFHS 4 also has done, and there are some results of NFHS 4 also have come, but there is no tribal comparison available as yet, so I haven't included it in this presentation. So the fertility definitely has gone down from NFHS 1 for the state as a whole, obviously and also for the tribal population, that is it from 3.2 to 2.4. For you who don't know about the total fertility, it is average number of children every woman bears when we in the reproductive ages. So this is from 3.2 to 2.4. It has come down, and the mean number of children ever born to women in the 40 to 49 years, that is the oldest, after that they won't bear any children, has come down to 4.8 to 4, it is almost one child. So basically the fertility has come down everywhere, state as a whole, obviously for the tribal population. Now, there are a lot of efforts, the fertility hasn't come down just like that. There is the contraceptive use has increased, and plus there are other development indicators also like that, and with the development also the fertility goes down. With the infant mortality going down, the fertility goes down, because they don't have to have the security of having more children, so that whatever number that is the desired family size they will have after certain time. So the infant mortality also has come. So there are various reasons why the fertility has really declined. So I mean directly coming here to the mortality, is the neonatal mortality is in the first month, mortality in the first month when the child is born. Post neonatal is between 1 month and 1 year. Then infant mortality is within 1 year. Child mortality is 1 to 4 years, and under 5 is 0 to 5 years. So these are the definitions that we have. And you see that is the neonatal mortality everywhere. I mean the mortality has come down. We all know that the infant mortality has declined. Lot of efforts the government is doing irrespective. I mean there are very serious outcome indicators. Like whatever the health, I mean whatever is the public expenditure that we have, or maybe whatever we are spending. So what is, I mean it has to be reflected somewhere. I mean how to quantify. That is whatever we are doing is doing well or not. Once again, I mean there are many there are data issues basically. The data on health is not available. I mean I would say that. I mean it is not available, and whatever the data that the government gives, we really don't believe in that data. I mean it is very sad to say all this. They have a huge machinery. They have the systems like HMIS, and the Maharashtra have already had the system, but still the data that they give us is not authentic, and we really can't use that data. So basically if we want to say something like this, we have to depend on the surveys, we have to depend on the sample. All the rates that mortality, fertility rates that we get are from the SRS, that is the sample registration system. And suppose if we want to go, I mean if we want to break down like this, maybe the state wise and the social group wise and education and age and this, that, then we depend on the surveys like this, like NMHS, DLHS, whatever. So basically whatever the data is, it is from the sample, and it is not, though HMIS data etc. is available, it is not, we don't use this. I mean the ICDS data, Dr. Karne showed, I mean we never use that ICDS data, because the data on the undernutrition that ICDS produces is, the quality of the data is always questionable. So basically there is a huge problem in getting the health data. Getting the mortality data itself is very difficult, because the deaths are not reported. If they are reported, the causes are not properly reported, the ages are not reported. There are so many issues about it. But still, the planning, whatever you do, it has to be based on the evidence. And so that data is missing, and whatever the planning for health is done is, I shouldn't say this, but kind of haphazard. On the basis of whatever the earlier trends are, on the basis of the general understanding of the planners, it is basically done on that, and we don't have the hard data. And when we don't have the hard data, whatever we plan, whether it has 100% meaning. So we need to have, I mean whenever we are talking about the budget allocations, we really need to do something very seriously about the data. Then it will maybe, not this year, but maybe the years that are coming later, we can make use of this. So data is NFHS 3 data for Maharashtra for vaccination there is a big question mark. I mean there are a lot of debates we've seen, you must have heard and read in the newspaper about that. But about the immunization, there are once again the issues are there. Actually, in fact, in the rural areas, we have a very well structured health infrastructure, and we don't have anything of that sort in urban areas. So that is one thing. So in rural areas also, but there are a lot of problems about the service delivery. As Dr. Shukla also mentioned, there are a lot of vacancies, and the vaccination program, though it is very well accepted, I mean in the community, it is not that nobody says that I won't give the immunization to the child, okay. Maybe if you go and start talking about the contraceptives, people won't listen to you. But if you go there and start talking to them about the immunization, about the vaccination, definitely the mothers will listen, because they know that the child should be safe. Nothing should happen to him or her. So basically, there is an acceptance, but if you don't reach them, if you can't reach them, then there is a big problem. And that is, it has to be something like this. And there are the growth charts prepared by WHO, and then there we plot the weights there, and we see that whether the child is in the right band, and it says, okay, whether the child is, there is undernutrition or no. So basically, what we treat is the acute malnutrition. I mean, what the visa disease, etc. Wherever, when the child goes beyond certain things, then there are schemes. I mean. So the what we treat is acute malnutrition. Chronic malnutrition is very difficult to tackle, but fortunately it is coming down. So the anemia is one of the major things that Indian women are fighting with. And more than 50% Indian women in the reproductive ages are anemic, so it is very bad. And now 3% are severely anemic, that is they have the hemoglobin level below 7, and mild and moderate is also very high. So the anemia, that we really need to do something about it, and for that not much really has been done so far. Then apart from anemia, there is one more indicator called body mass index, which tells you that is how your weight is really showing. So maybe if your BMI is calculated in certain way, and if it is below 18.5, then you are totally thin, and you are moderately or severely thin if the BMI is below 70, and you are overweight if it is 25, more than 25, and obese more than 30. So we are actually more worried about the first two lines. That is, if you see, that is for the state as a whole, there are 36% women who are totally thin, and if you look at the tribes, it is 52%, which is very, very difficult to get the data on health. But the ICMR has conducted several studies, and these findings are we have compiled from the various ICMR studies. They are not for the state as a whole, but they are micro studies, and conducted in the different states. It's not exactly for Maharashtra, but they are for the tribal. So actually, whatever it says, it is representative for Maharashtra. So basically, malnutrition is a major problem. So low birth weight babies, undernutrition of children, then the lower body size of the adults, as I discussed, then anemia, iron and vitamin A and B deficiency are major problems. Then maternal and child health problems like high infant mortality rate, under 5 mortality rate because of the unhygienic conditions, etc. We haven't gone into all that. Then communicable diseases like malaria, malaria, TB, leprosy, skin diseases. They also have the sexually transmitted diseases, HIV infections, typhoid, cholera, diarrheal diseases, hepatitis, and the viral fevers. These are all reported in the various ICMR. Then there are a lot of conflicts among the tribes, and that is why there is a violence. There are burns, and there are of course motorcycle accidents, which are a very recent things. Then their lifestyle is such that there is a high consumption of alcohol and tobacco among both males and females. They take alcohol and tobacco. Then the genetic disorders like sickle cell anemia, that is one of the major problems of the tribal, and G6PD deficiency. So they face the genetic problem, genetic disorders, because they marry among themselves and things like that. And those were separated. Like for any of us, we have the problems, like they have the mental health problems, they have the specialty problems like orthopedic, surgical, etc. And they have the non-communicable diseases like hypertension, stroke, diabetes, and cancer. Then there is NNMB, that is the National Nutrition Monitoring Bureau, is there, and they also have conducted many studies in the tribal areas, and which is they have compiled, from their compilations actually have taken this, that is their overall intake, overall food intake, they call it the RDA, that is the recommended dietary allowance. So everybody has a certain RDA, and everybody should eat according to that RDA, but they eat less. If you look at the RDA compared to RDA, they eat very less, and that is the quantity. I'm talking about the quantity is less. Then the intake of nutrients is also less, because the quantity itself is less, and whatever they eat is not really the nutrition, they are not there. And the intake of micronutrients basically is very less in their diet. So together, all these 3-4 points, there is a food gap basically. So among adults it is there, and then it is percolated to their children also. That food gap actually continues. Just for, I thought that is, I'll just share this data. That is the prevalence of hypertension. The study is conducted in 9 states. Maharashtra is one of the states. So among, when I'm saying the pooled states, those 9 states together, the prevalence of hypertension among the males is 25.2%. And for Maharashtra it is higher, that is 7.5%. Whereas for females, the pooled prevalence is 23.1%, but for Maharashtra, fortunately, it is less, 19.3%. So, thank you.
I'll be giving some facts about tribal development and the status of tribes, particularly in Maharashtra, and which has certainly some kind of implications in terms of budgetary allocations. So, a group approach or an individual approach, and also an area-based approach for tribal development in the country and especially in the Maharashtra state as such. And therefore, we have 2 types of areas which are demarcated. That is the tribal subplan areas and the outside the tribal subplan areas. Around the population, whole tribal population in tribal subplan areas is about 50.6%. And in the outside tribal subplan area, it is around 49.4%. The administration and development of the tribal development in Maharashtra is done through the Tribal Development Commissionerate, which is based at Nasik. And there are about 29 project offices in Maharashtra spread over various districts, and there are 45 tribes as per the 2011 census. And out of that, there are 3 particularly vulnerable tribal groups, as they are called as per the new nomenclature. And these there are 3 particularly vulnerable tribal groups. So we have Katkari, Madhya Gaon, and Kolams. Now, do we give an some kind of weightage in budgetary allocation for the particularly vulnerable tribal groups? That is one of the submission to this audience, that it constitutes around 1,20,000 families roughly in Maharashtra. Why I'm saying this roughly, because there is no particular data on especially Madhya Gawns. And I had tough time with the tribal department then to say that there are around 1,20,000 tribals and around 80 to 90,000 families of Madhya Gawns, because there is no separate enumeration for Madhya Gawns especially. So why I am saying this is that in these 29 project offices, you talk of disparate kind of development in terms of tribes and also in terms of the area development. There are around 20 to 30% of tribal padas which are inactive. So Bamragarh constitutes the area where there is extremely low literacy level as per this benchmark survey. So in terms of occupation, you have 50% of those who are doing agriculture, and all of them, 99% of them have very less than 2 hectares of land, and that's also derived type of land, non-irrigated type of lands. We are having kacha type of houses. In terms of education, you have as stated 36.6% were literates, and amongst the literates just 16.8% were educated till the 4th standard, and very few were graduates and those who had were possessing professional and vocational education. The proportionate of children above the age of 6 which were not going in school was around 58%, and significantly of girls was much higher than this. And an assessment of the schemes and the programs which were run by the Tribal Development Department the benchmark survey talks about that only 66% of people have availed the schemes, whatever tribal schemes and programs are there, and around 34% has not received any kind of schemes. The main reason being the lack of awareness on part of the
They
tribal.
have highlighted